While I was planning our 10-year anniversary, he was planning a future with someone else, someone I once called my friend. Part 1. The anniversary surprise, 10 years. A full decade of love, of fights and forgiveness, of birthdays, of sickness and health. That's what I believed we were celebrating, 10 years of marriage. 10 years since I walked down the aisle, trembling with joy, toward the man I thought would never hurt me. I planned it all myself. The private dinner, the candlelight, the custom wine label that read, "To us, forever." I even made a slideshow. I'm that kind of wife. Sentimental, maybe too much. Photos from our first apartment, our honeymoon in Santorini, the night he held me when my mother died. I included a video clip from his best friend, and even one from my best friend Ava, my maid of honor, my roommate from college, and the person I once trusted with every corner of my life. She was like a sister. I should have known something was wrong the way she looked at him lately. Too long, too soft. But I brushed it off. I always brushed it off. The night of the dinner, he walked in distracted. No kiss. No compliment on the dress I'd agonized over. Just a flat, "What's all this?" I laughed. "Our anniversary, remember?" He blinked. "Right. Sorry, work's been, you know." And that was the beginning of the end. The rest of the evening blurred together. The fake smiles, the uncomfortable silences, the way he kept checking his phone under the table. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Instead, I played the slideshow. Everyone else clapped when it ended. He just excused himself to take a call, but I'd already seen it. The lock screen, Ava's name, a heart emoji. I followed him outside, my heels clicking like thunder across the tile. He was whispering into the phone, his back turned to me. "I miss you already," he said. The phone fell from his hand when he turned and saw me. I didn't cry, not then. I just asked, "How long?" He didn't answer, just looked away, and that silence spoke louder than any confession ever could. Part 2. The collapse begins. The silence between us after that night was deafening. He never admitted it, not directly, but after I caught that phone call, he stopped pretending. He didn't say, "You're wrong." He didn't say, "It's not what it looks like." He didn't say anything at all. For days, we coexisted like strangers, passing each other in the hallway, eating meals in different rooms. I slept in the guest bedroom, the one Ava used to stay in. I could still smell her perfume on the pillow. Sweet, floral, fake. I didn't confront her right away. I was still trying to catch my breath. I scrolled back through memories like they were scenes in a horror movie, seeing all the red flags I ignored. The way she always offered to help with the dishes after dinner, how she insisted on visiting when I was out of town, the little inside jokes they thought I didn't notice. I had trusted her because I couldn't bear to believe she would betray me. But now that I knew, I saw it everywhere, in her laugh, in his indifference, in the gut feeling I kept silencing. One evening, while he was in the shower, I finally opened his laptop. I knew the password. It hadn't changed in years. Part of me hoped I was wrong, that maybe it was a one-time mistake, a lapse, something we could, somehow, move past. But then I saw the emails, months of them. Subject lines like, "Last night was perfect, and she doesn't suspect a thing." One message read, "When she showed me the anniversary slideshow, I almost lost it. How can she still not know?" I closed the laptop and sat there for an hour, just breathing, or trying to. Everything felt surreal. I wasn't just mourning my marriage, I was mourning my reality, my instincts, my memories, my ability to trust my own judgment. Ava had texted me the next morning after the dinner. "You looked beautiful last night. So happy for you too." The nerve. I replied that day with one sentence. "Come over tonight. We need to talk." She replied instantly, "Of course, everything okay?" I didn't answer. When she walked through the door, her smile faltered. She sensed it. She wasn't stupid. "I know," I said before she even spoke. Her face turned pale. What? What do you mean?" "Don't insult me, Ava." She opened her mouth, then closed it. And for the first time in our 2-decade friendship, I saw her unable to lie. "I never meant," she started. "Don't." My voice cracked. "You meant to be with him. You just didn't mean to get caught." She began crying, real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. "It just happened. You were always so busy, so perfect. He said he felt invisible." My heart broke at that. Invisible. I had worked 2 jobs for years while he went back to school. I had planned his birthdays, helped with his resume, picked him up from his worst moments. I was invisible. "I gave you both everything," I whispered. She looked down. No defense. No apology. Just shame. Or maybe guilt. It didn't matter. I didn't care anymore. Get out, I said, and don't come back. And just like that, 20 years of friendship ended with a door closing, and the final shred of my marriage went with it. Part 3. When Love Becomes War. He came home an hour after Ava left. Maybe she warned him. Maybe she didn't. It didn't matter. His face said it all. He knew what I knew. I guess there's nothing left to say, I told him. He sat on the edge of the couch like a child waiting to be scolded. I never wanted to hurt you. That line, that useless, hollow line. I'd heard it in movies, read it in books. I never thought it would be said to me by the man I vowed to love forever. I didn't even respond. He rubbed his face, then looked up. It started when you were working so much. I felt like you were always exhausted. Ava listened. She saw me. Don't talk about what she saw, I snapped. You mean she saw an opportunity? He stood now, voice rising. You think I planned this? You think I wanted to fall for her? I was lonely. And I wasn't, I asked. You think carrying this family, financially, emotionally, was easy? You think I wasn't lonely too, in this house with a husband who stopped seeing me a long time ago? He didn't answer. Coward. I walked past him, into our bedroom, my bedroom now. I grabbed the duffel bag I'd packed earlier. Not for me, for him. You're leaving, I said. What? Wait, we should talk this through. We're past talking. You slept with my best friend. You planned a future with her while sleeping in my bed. You don't get to negotiate now. He took the bag like a man holding a coffin, silent, heavy, full of his own mess. I don't have anywhere to go, he said quietly. You didn't think about that before climbing into bed with her? Still silence. He didn't cry. He didn't beg. That would have almost made it easier. Instead, he looked around the room like he was seeing it for the last time. Maybe he was. As he walked out, he paused at the door. I did love you. I didn't even blink. Then you should have protected me from your worst self. The door shut behind him. That night I cried harder than I ever had before. I sobbed until the moon disappeared and the sky turned a cold gray blue. I cried not just for the betrayal, but for the woman I had been, the woman who believed in love like it was armor. That woman was gone. In her place was someone raw, broken, but finally awake. In the days that followed, I deleted his number, Ava's too. I cleaned the house top to bottom, as if scrubbing hard enough could erase memories. It couldn't, but it helped. Friends reached out, a few cautiously, unsure what to say. Some disappeared, uncomfortable with the messiness of grief, but a few stayed. They brought food, sat in silence, let me rage, let me cry. They didn't ask me to move on. They just sat in the wreckage with me. One night I stood in the mirror and really looked at myself. I saw a woman who had loved deeply, worked tirelessly, and been shattered, but who was still here, still standing. And I whispered, "You're still here. That's enough." It wasn't the end of my pain, but it was the beginning of my healing. Part 4, picking up the pieces. The days blurred together after he left. Morning became evening without warning, and I often found myself sitting in silence, staring at the walls we had painted together, wondering if the paint could remember the laughter that used to echo here, or if it too was stained by betrayal. I didn't answer when his number called, not once. The voicemails came, one after another, remorseful, desperate, pleading. He was sorry. He missed me. He made a mistake. But what none of them said, not once, was that he was wrong for who he chose to betray me with. Ava's name never left his lips again. That told me everything I needed to know. One evening, I opened the bottom drawer of my dresser, the one I hadn't touched in months. Inside were all the mementos of us, anniversary cards, Polaroids, movie stubs, proof of a love I thought had been real. I held a photo of the two of us smiling at a cabin retreat years ago. He had his arms around me, his chin resting on my head. I remember feeling safe. That picture used to make me smile. Now it made me sick. I lit a candle, not for peace, but for closure. Slowly, I fed the memories to the flame one by one. They curled into ash, smoke rising like ghosts leaving my body. That night, I slept through until morning for the first time in weeks. But healing wasn't a straight line. Some days I woke up angry. Other days I missed him. And then there were the days I missed her. Ava, my best friend since I was 10. The girl who helped me dye my hair for the first time, who cried when I got married, who held my hand during my miscarriage. How do you grieve someone who chose to become your enemy? I tried therapy. At first, I hated it. I didn't want to explain myself to a stranger, but the therapist asked me a question that cracked something open. If you could talk to the woman you were the day before you found out, what would you say to her? The answer hit me like a wave. I'd tell her she deserved more. Not just more love, more honesty, but more self. More space to fall apart, more room to rebuild, more grace. After that, the healing became a bit more real. I changed the bedroom. New sheets, new curtains. I painted the wall behind the bed a rich emerald green, a color he hated, but I loved. I started walking every evening, headphones in, letting music soothe what words could not. I journaled, I cried. I forgave myself, not for loving him, but for not leaving sooner when the signs were there. One day, months later, I ran into him at the grocery store. He looked thinner, his eyes sunken. Ava wasn't with him. He opened his mouth to speak. I smiled, nodded once, and walked away. That night, I celebrated with wine and pizza on the couch, alone. Not sad, not broken, just free. Part 5. The Woman Who Emerged. 6 months after the world I knew collapsed, I found myself standing in front of a mirror, zipping up a dress I'd nearly given away. It clung differently now, not because my body had changed, but because I had. The woman staring back wasn't the same girl who laughed blindly at the edge of betrayal. She was sharper, softer, and somehow stronger for everything she'd endured. I was attending a charity gala that night, something I'd always gone to as his wife. Now I was going as myself. I still remembered the first time I walked into a room alone after the divorce. I felt exposed, raw, like everyone could see the cracks in me. But as time passed, I realized people weren't staring. They were welcoming, curious, some even inspired. I wasn't just the woman who'd been cheated on. I had become the woman who survived. I wasn't healed completely. Some wounds stay under the skin forever, especially the betrayal of both a partner and a lifelong friend. I still had dreams where I woke up gasping. Images of them together burned into my mind. But I no longer felt like a prisoner to those memories. I had learned to feel them and let them pass. A few weeks later, I got a letter. Not from him, from Ava. It was handwritten, no return address. It began with, "I don't expect forgiveness." She wrote about regret, about her own brokenness, and how seeing the wreckage she'd caused made her realize how much she'd lost. Not just me, but a version of herself she once respected. She said she'd started therapy, had moved to a new city, and didn't want anything from me, just to say, "I was wrong, and I'm sorry." I didn't reply. But I didn't rip the letter up either. I placed it in a box with other parts of that chapter, a quiet tomb for what used to be. One morning I stood by my daughter's crib. Yes, my daughter, my tiny miracle. She was giggling in her sleep, dreaming who knows what. I realized then how full my heart felt, not because of any man or friend, but because of the life I was rebuilding, one brick at a time. With her, I had purpose. With myself, I had peace. I started writing, not just journaling, but really writing. I submitted an essay about surviving infidelity to a women's magazine. They published it. The responses flooded in. Women like me, women who had been through worse, women who thought they were alone. They weren't. None of us are. And so I kept writing. Not about him, not about her, but about me, my healing, my lessons, my voice. Because betrayal might have broken the old me, but it built someone new, someone I love, someone I fought to become. This is not a story of revenge. It's a story of resurrection.